what you have to remember is that there are two sides of this. The one side that I feel people talk about too much is it's a platform and it has an algorithm. So bearing in mind these nuances of what can help you push your content forward, it's great to know to kind of help yourself that way. However, that is just a very small part of it. The most important part is what you write and how you write it. And so what helped me was really to understand the people that are following me, why they're following me, how do I want to show up, and the main reason I'm writing content. And so that started with gaining clarity on who they are and also what they need and want. And my strategy is simple. It's not a blueprint of anything. It's just focusing on the audience problems and giving solutions and solving these problems in the content and speaking to them and really crafting every single post to help them.
Before we dive into today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us grow and inspire more people on their journeys. Thank you.
Hello, Bea. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here.
So, Bea, something that I've been curious about is actually if you can tell us more about your background, because I know that when we spoke, you said, I think you are based in Spain. Then I saw that you are a highly ranked creator in Romania, and on LinkedIn, I can see that you are in London. So can you tell us where you are actually from or where you are based?
Confusing, yes. I say I'm a citizen of the world. No, but I'm originally from Romania. This is where I grew up. And then I've lived in different countries. I lived in the UK, I lived in Spain, I lived in Bali for a while. And now I'm back in Spain, at least for now. So I'm based in Barcelona.
Oh, nice. So even more than I thought. Bali on top of it.
Yes.
And why is it actually? Are you someone who likes to travel or to live like a digital nomad or different reasons?
Yeah, I mean, when I started my business, that was the ultimate and the primary goal, which was freedom. And that was freedom of career, freedom of time, of location. And I always wanted to be location independent. And I think the world is so beautiful and there's so many beautiful places to see. And it's hard to just choose one. So I do what I call slow traveling. So wherever I go, I'm based there for at least 2 months. So that gives me the time to, build a routine and not be in a rush.
So what's your next destination?
Good question. Well, for now, it's going to be Barcelona for maybe the next foreseeable future, a few months. And then, I don't know, I really liked Bali, looking forward to going back there for a while. Just kind of like flicking between places, maybe South Africa, maybe Mexico.
I guess there are too many to choose from.
Exactly, yeah. Too many places in such a little time.
And what place did you enjoy the most so far?
I really liked Bali, and that was firstly because of the community, like the type of people it attracts there, but as well the locals. Like everyone is very friendly, and you see so many positive people. They have so little, and yet they're much happier than people in the West or than we are here in Europe. So it's really, really nice to have that positive energy around all the time.
I guess there's some truth to that saying that the people you surround yourself with, that it impacts you a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. They say you're the average of the 5 people you're surrounded by. And I think that's very true. The moment you build a community with people that are above your level and that inspire you, it's so much easier to grow and the speed of growth increases as well. Yeah, I can't stress that enough. Your environment is extremely, extremely important.
Yeah, I spoke with a few people lately as well, whether it was from Thailand or Bali. And whenever I speak with someone, it makes me excited or just want to go there and experience it as well. So now I speak with you and it makes me feel that way again.
Totally. You should definitely give it a try.
Yeah. And do you still go back home to Romania?
I do. I do go to see my family. I try to make it at least once or twice a year. And it's always nice to go back to, like the nostalgia of the places, the people. Yeah.
And I would regret not asking you for your opinion on UK or London, because as I live here now, I'd be curious to hear about your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think London is great in terms of opportunities, in terms of business, you know, the people you make connections with and networking as well. There are a lot of amazing events and plenty of places to see. However, for me, I'm not a big fan of big cities. And also, sun, it's an important element to
I
my
cannot blame
environment and
you.
happiness. Yeah. So apart from that, you know, I believe London is great to grow, but when it comes to community and overall, you know, lifestyle experience, in my opinion, and just this is just my personal view on it, there are other places that I would prefer.
Yeah, totally. And I guess you cannot really compare the weather in London to where you are either now or when you were in Bali. So it makes sense.
Yeah, you know that firsthand.
Yeah. And then coming back to when you were younger or before you started or before you moved out, is that something that you've been always dreaming about, like to travel the world and be free and have this freedom of living from anywhere you want?
To be honest, I've never imagined, you know, the word would change the way it did now, and how the whole, you know, creators economy enabled all this freedom, and kind of like you build your lifestyle and you craft, you know, your the life you want to live. You don't live a life that you are given. You are the creator of it. Speaking of creators, and so I don't think I even knew this is possible when I was young or younger. but uh, but definitely, I'm extremely grateful for the life I'm able to live with what I do.
So, how did you actually discover this, whether type of career or the whole creator economy or the potential in that?
Yeah, it's funny because if you look at most creators now, you realize that you can build your career. You can do something that is not, you know, written in the traditional way of working, I would say. And I think COVID was a big change with that. And
Hmm.
around then, I also started looking at freelancing, and this is the very first thing I did. I started freelancing maybe 5 years ago, a bit longer than that. And I started as a conversion copywriter. I only did an internship. I never had like a proper, you know, work contract. And just going in that internship, I was like, I don't want to go to an office every day. I don't want to wake up at a certain time a day, to have lunch at a certain time of day, to ask permission for holidays or for my birthday. And very soon I realized that I just don't feel comfortable in that type of environment and lifestyle. And so I kind of took a leap of faith with, you know, when you're 20, you don't really think much about the risks, right? I don't know if I would do it the same way now, but I just quit my job and I got my first client, and I kind of like all went all in, and
Mhm.
I started focusing on that. But the whole LinkedIn journey came a bit later for me, where I started posting on LinkedIn, had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know
Like to
that
all of
people
us.
like, yeah, exactly. And it was very early days, like there were not a lot of creators. I didn't even know that, you know, LinkedIn is not that CV display place anymore. Before that, I've only used it for looking for a job or an internship, or, you know, sharing something from work that my manager told me to do. And I remember it was one day when I just posted something around failure, and something that it was just more personal, and there were so many people that resonated with it. I got so much engagement, so many people messaging me, they have the same story, and that kind of made me see the potential in this platform. And I've never been a video person. I love writing. And
Yeah.
so it was a perfect space to share ideas. And from there were some people who messaged me and they asked me, oh, can you write the same for me? So this is how my first ghostwriting project went to life. And from
Oh,
there, I've built my ghostwriting agency, which is now phased out and closed. I focus on coaching. But yeah, it started from really just putting myself out there, and that brought in a lot of opportunities.
And do you remember roughly how long ago was it?
I think it was 2 years and a half.
Wow, yeah, it's pretty cool, and you never know. Of course, I assume it takes some courage to write first post like this, especially if it's something kind of vulnerable or opening, like to, open about your feelings. But then if you don't do it, you never know what reaction you may get and where it may lead. So I think it's a perfect example.
Exactly. And sadly now it all became kind of over engineered, and looking for the quick way to do it, looking for a trick, looking for the magic pill you can take, right, to get you to the top. But in reality, if you are just creating content because you have to, it will never be as powerful as creating content because you have something valuable to share that is worth your audience to know.
hmm I'm glad we can hear it from someone like you, because I can often see that as well. Or sometimes people send you DM like, "What's the secret?" or "What's the shortcut?" So I assume that you get such messages as well. So if you do, what's your answer? I would be curious.
Yeah, I do. I get them every day. And the truth is, for everyone out there, there's no secret, there is no shortcut. The principles are timeless, and they're the same principles that philosophers and great orators and communicators were using in the past, in the ancient times, which is the power of communication and persuasion and understanding how to write and how to use words to move masses, essentially. And I believe that the focus should be on that rather than how can I trick the system.
Yeah, and I often think that it gets discussed a lot, such as these things that you can say it's kind of routine or regular or nothing extraordinary, such as build a community, show up consistently, deliver value. But in the end, that's actually what is true. That's how it works out. And don't look any, I don't know, overnight success or any shortcuts. Because even when I speak with people, there is like never secret sauce or overnight success. You can always see it's like a consistency over a long time and just showing up and improving.
Yeah, and everything that helped me grow, it's the things that I'm talking about in my content. I always share what works, what to do, what not to do, based on my experience and what I've experienced firsthand. But at the end of the day, thing is that if you're rushing to get the outcome, you are not focusing on the input, and the input is far more important than the outcome, because during this input and during this journey, you're actually growing and you're evolving as a person. So your personal brand, essentially, when you start creating content, it goes beyond the professional word. It's actually also at a personal level where it's self-actualization, progress, right? You're becoming a better version of you, and you're learning on this journey, and you're helping others learn with you as you're documenting that journey. But if you're looking to skip all the steps, then you are actually overlooking and missing out on the most important part of your brand, which is your growth as a person and your evolution.
hmm And that's when you look back at your first post and cringe what it looked like compared to now.
Yes, exactly. If you don't look back at your previous work and you don't cringe, then you're doing something wrong, because every day we progress, every day we become better. And it took me a lot of time to actually find my voice. It took me maybe a year to really feel confident in the way I write that is true to myself and it's aligned with who I am and how I want to be seen, right? And I feel like people need to understand that you cannot just start writing and you get it perfectly, or you feel 100% confident in what you're doing, because at the end of the day, it's a new skill. It's just like learning a new language or going to the gym. You're gonna suck at
Yeah,
it in the beginning, but the more you do, you become better at it, and you become more comfortable with it.
totally. And of course, by practice, it's actually the best way how to find out, because it may not work out, but at the same time, you at least find out that that's not the way to go, and shows you, the other way to go with. So just practice, and that's how you find out.
For sure, it's a lot of testing as well, and the more you practice, the more you understand what works, what doesn't, what needs improvement. But I'm never going to say that this is an easy journey. It's simple. The principles are not hard. Everyone can do it. Everyone can understand it. But the hard part is to stick with it and to keep moving forward, even when you're not getting the outcome you want exactly in the moment, because it's all compounding and it's a buildup of success that only shows up over time. If you give up in day two, or you give up on, the first week, the first month, and you say, I've tried, it doesn't work, you actually haven't tried it enough.
Yeah, you never see the whole story or how long journey there is behind it.
Yeah.
And with your learning experience, do you remember maybe some curators who were your inspiration or any other resources that helped you to learn and improve?
Yeah, totally. The very, very first person I came across was Dan Coe. And even today, I really love his philosophy around the whole content creation industry, the creators economy. And it's all about, building that life that you want to live. And of course, all my friends on LinkedIn that I've learned a lot from, like Jasmine Alec, Lara Costa, Richard Moore as well. They have been my
Shout out to
mentors and
Richard.
my good friends. Yes, it's great. So I feel like, the content we're exposed to, like everyone is creating content nowadays. Everything is content online and it's so much noise, right? It's so much AI content and content that is boring. It's lacking substance. It's lacking value, and so it's super important to nurture your feed and curate your feed and search for the people that they're actually good at it and they share value, and feed yourself with that. Just like, you eat, let's say, healthy and organic food and not so much processed, right? It's the same. I heard this analogy and I thought it was such a good analogy with,
Mhm.
processed versus organic content. Same with the food, right? You will always find more quality in the organic one.
Yeah, I think it perfectly comes back to what we discussed before, that again, it's about the people that you surround yourself with. Because if you follow the right people, obviously it will influence you positively, whether it's your mindset, the stuff that you learn, anything that you consume, or if it's, I don't know, for entertainment or any other content that it's not maybe valuable, then it's really up to you what you consume. So I really like what you said, and it's a great point.
Absolutely. And it's not like valuable, I mean, you can find value in content that is not only educational. Maybe it's inspiring, it's empowering, and there are different functions of content. Maybe it's entertaining, and that is still valuable for the reader. It just has a different purpose, right? The whole idea is to find the people that they're sharing similar values with you. They are maybe to a point in life where you want to be and you can learn from them. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize the luxury and the luck we have in our generation and to live in these days, because before, as I said, great teachers like Seneca, right, and philosophers,
Right.
they surrounded themselves with great teachers, but these teachers were not accessible to everyone. And so now the teachers we have today, they are most likely in the online environment and all this content is free and we can learn so much. The only thing is that, it's important to see who are these people that you look up to and really consume that content just like you would learn anything else, like a source of information. But yeah, I think we're living in some great times, and the fact that you can just, go out there on the internet and learn any skill you want and, block your next 6 months or 12 months to perfect something, and you become great at it simply because you have access to this information and resources.
I can only agree, and especially with LinkedIn, that you can literally connect and maybe even chat with pretty much anyone who is there, which, is like the person on the other side of the world, completely different industry, much way ahead of you, but still LinkedIn allows you, or usually allows you, to chat with such a person, learn from them, and connect with them, which I think is a great potential of such a platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say it's like having access to the biggest networking event in the world without needing to fly on the other side of the world, without, buying a ticket for it. And you can connect with people that can essentially change your life or become great mentors, great friends, great, investors, employees, partners. And so it just goes beyond just, putting a piece of content because you have to be consistent and post every day. But really, it's the connections you're making, the relationships you're building with people that maybe 10, 20 years ago would have been impossible to reach just over the internet. And I think the accessibility of those connections and network, it's huge, and also it brings so much value to everyone who can see this and take the advantage of the times we're living in, especially on LinkedIn, which is essentially a networking platform. It was designed to do that, and it's still the primary reason that people spend time there.
Yeah, never forget it's networking platform. And when you were starting out, did you ever imagine, or did you have idea or a goal that you would become such a big creator? Such as, for example, before you were looking up to people for inspiration, and now people are looking up to you for inspiration.
It's like a full circle moment. To be honest with you, no, I had no idea. I also had no expectations, and I also didn't know where this can go. I experienced a very, very quick growth, especially the first months I started showing up. And I think I reached like 15,000 followers in 3 months or something like that, which was a record time. And I never
That
had a
is, yeah.
number in mind. Yeah, so no, I'd never thought this will happen. Also, when I was ranked the first content creator in Romania. That was also a huge, a huge achievement for me, but also a huge surprise because, again, my goal was not working towards becoming the biggest creator. I was just sharing my insights, my ideas, and hopefully value to others. And yeah, it just turned out great, but it was never a goal.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, it's a proof that you are doing something right. So I guess well deserved.
Thank you.
Are you struggling to stay consistent on LinkedIn? Create high quality posts in minutes with FanPost. Write faster, show up more, and stress less. Try it free at fanpost.com.
And then, can you tell us more about, let's say, your strategy on LinkedIn? Because obviously, throughout the whole time, you've explored whether it's different posting times, frequencies, or post formats. Can you tell us like what worked for you, what didn't? What's your approach like to try the new stuff and maybe help people to craft their strategies?
Yeah, what you have to remember is that there are two sides of this. The one side that I feel people talk about too much is obviously it's a platform and it has an algorithm. So bearing in mind these nuances of what can help you push your content forward, it's great to know to kind of help yourself that way. However, that is just the very small part of it. The most important part is what you write and how you write it. And so what helped me was really to understand the people that are following me, why they're following me, how do I want to show up, and the main reason I'm writing content. And so that started with gaining clarity on who they are and also what they need and want. And my strategy is simple. It's not a blueprint of anything. It's just focusing on the audience problems and giving solutions and solving these problems in the content and speaking to them and really crafting every single post to help them. And that helps you position yourself as an expert, as a leader. But essentially, the best strategy is your audience problems. Just solve them, write it in a way that is clear and understandable for everyone. Don't try to sound fancy, don't try to sound who you're not. And kind of, in a way, be humble the way you write because, the best way to deliver an idea, it's the simple way that everyone can understand and actually get value and benefit from that piece of information. And so yeah, that was my strategy. I don't know if carousels work better. I don't know if you should do video or infographics. Just find what works for you in your industry and the type of information you're sharing. If it's too complex, then yeah, use some visual aids and help yourself with that. If you're the type of person that likes to put your face there and you enjoy having photo shoots, like a lot of people tell me, like, oh, when do you have time to do that? It's simply because I enjoy doing it. Doesn't mean you need to do that to grow. what it means is that you need to understand how to write effectively, to understand digital writing, and to deliver your ideas to your audience in a way that they can understand it and they can action on it. So actionable advice is the best strategy you can use.
Mhm. And I think just try to experiment to find what works the best for you, and then find the one, and it can make you like to stand out if that's the one that people associate you with, and you become the professional in the specific one. So don't have to follow anyone, just try and find what works the best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can obviously get inspiration from people that already made it to the top. And if this is where you want to go, absolutely learn from them. I would say like the best way to create something new is to imitate something that was already there and just improve it or add your take on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, you should always bear in mind that not every industry is the same, not every business is the same. And obviously, not every person is the same. So maybe your stories are just getting a lot of traction because they're interesting and people resonate with them. But we don't have the same stories, and you're not me, and I'm not you. And so I believe this is the most important thing. Don't lose sight on the fact that not everyone is the same, and what worked for one person maybe it's not going to work for you, but there are other things that you can do that will help you grow, and rather find these than trying to replicate step by step what someone did.
I agree. And I think it's also important to find something that you enjoy, because not going to lie, sometimes it might be hard to show up consistently, but I believe that if you find something that you enjoy, that you are excited about, or just makes it easier to show up, it just makes everything more easier and more enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to remember that when you start on this journey, again, it's not a quick win, and it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, put it this way. And so to do that, you need to find something that you can stick to and you can show up consistently to. And if filming a video takes you 3 hours and editing it another 2 hours, then maybe that's not the right way to show up. Just because videos are trendy now and they get pushed by the algorithm doesn't mean that you need to do that and spend all your time on crafting those, unless you enjoy that and you want it and it's what you like to do. But if not, just find a different way to share that information, because that's far more important than just doing it in a way that is correct or it should be.
Yeah, or trying to chase every trend out there, whether it's carousels or videos, just because everyone says that, doesn't mean that it will necessarily work, or that it's something that will work for you.
Exactly. Yeah. You need to try things out and see. Also, if you are, a lawyer, or if you are in a different industry, maybe your audience is just not consuming the content the way that is trendy, right? So always bear in mind who is your audience and how do they like to consume your content, and deliver it that way. Because at the end of the day, you are creating the content for them, not for you. Not for you to do
Hmm.
good, but for them to get value from, and
Yeah,
just give them what they need the way they need it.
yeah, I agree. And very big topic is obviously AI. So I would be curious for you both how you use it, if you use it, and then your usage when it comes to obviously writing your posts, because I assume that you use it to help you, but at the same time, you cannot use it to outsource your work, if you know what I mean.
Yes. So I'm glad you touch up on this topic, because I do have a lot to say about it. The thing is that AI content will not be good if you are not a good creator. If you don't know what good looks like, you cannot quality check that. If you don't know how to tweak the content that you're getting, AI is simply a tool. It's simply look at it as a ghostwriter, as a helper. If you're writing codes, you can have a ghost coder, right? However, it's never you, and you still need to build a narrative. You still need to quality check. You still need to tweak and to add the human touch. And so you cannot get a good AI content if you are not good at content. Like that needs to be clear. And absolutely, AI saves a lot of time, and I'm using it every day in everything I do. However, if I was just to, copy paste a ChatGPT generated post, then the impact will never be the same. People would not resonate with it the same because it doesn't have depth. It doesn't have the values you have, right? And so even though it's helping you tremendously with the time that you're saving and with the speed of ideation research, like maybe gives you some great ideas to start from, however, is never the answer. But I'm glad you asked this because I'm actually working on a very new project that is called Flow OS, and we just released the waiting list for the beta testers. And it's more than just an AI tool because, as I said, I don't believe that AI is the answer. However, I believe it's a great help. What most creators find difficult is having a system, staying consistent, having the ideas to execute on when it comes to content. We're exposed to so much information, so much idea, and we get inspiration from everywhere. And so having a place to store these ideas and a system that helps you go from idea to content that is worth reading, worth sharing, and has an impact on other people. It's a process. And so that's why we've built this tool to help creators organize their ideas better, execute on them, and not find themselves in a place where they're slacking anymore because they don't have the consistency or they get the writer's block. So yeah,
I
that's
think you
gonna be.
posted about it today, didn't you?
I did yesterday, yes.
Yesterday, okay,
And
yeah.
that's going to be essentially the new way of creating content, and how I see it more, it's a movement rather than just a tool. And as I said, it's not no secret sauce, no magic trick. It's just having a system in place and a strategy that works for you. And this is what Flow OS it's all about.
And when is it going to be released?
So it's already released. It's open for the first 50 people. The first 50 people that join, they have some extra benefits. They get to test the tool. They get early access before the actual launch, and also their feedback will be applied in the next features that we're building. They also get access to a community and to us, the founders. So it's already available to register for the pre-launch.
That sounds exciting. Was it your idea or your partners, or who came up with the idea?
It's actually a funny story because David, my co-founder, came to me with the tool. He essentially wanted to white label it in the beginning, and when I saw his idea was essentially the idea I had in mind on creating this content system, this brain where you can store your ideas. I basically stopped him and I suggested we do this together because it was very aligned with the vision I had. And I believe for both of us was the best decision because he's the technical person. He's the one that makes makes things happen. I'm the more person with vision and with the new ideas. So we
The
have a
one
really,
giving
really
orders.
good. No, not at all, not at all.
No, I'm
Just,
just
just
joking.
like putting together the creative mind and the technical mind, and obviously I couldn't do it without him, and the other way around because we just have complementary skills. And I believe this is very important when you build any type of product, especially in tech. You always need to have a tech founder, co-founder, and then a more marketing and creative founder. So I think we just found each other very a very nicely combination.
It's like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, isn't it?
I think any great business out there, has both because you do need
Yeah.
both.
So is that like the project something that you plan to work on, keep improving in the future? Something that you are, excited about and your focus for now?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm working with a lot of people, helping them to write content, to build their personal brand, to strategize. And if it's something I've noticed in every single person I've helped in the last 2 years, is that they're all lacking a system, they're all lacking structure in their ideas, and also how to take that and make it a piece of content that is not just, filling their calendar or ticking the box for posting today, but it's actually delivering value. It's actually positioning themselves as as leaders, as experts. And that is not so straightforward as just writing anything you have in mind or just posting. It's what you write and how you write it, right? So as I was building the system, kind of more in a manual way with the clients I'm working with, having David coming in with this type of solution, then it was really the perfect time and the perfect match. So yeah, it's a project that's very dear to me, and I know it's going to be really big.
Yeah, and fingers crossed. Because I remember that in the beginning you mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, that you had agency. So does it mean that you still have it, or that you closed it to focus on this project, or am I wrong?
You're almost right. So in the beginning, I started with ghostwriting. So I was the one writing the content for clients. But then I realized that first it's very hard to scale, and also it was not something I was enjoying very much. I love writing, but again, I feel like empowering people to write their own content, it's far more powerful than writing it for them, because I'm not them. I can be the best writer in the world, but I haven't experienced firsthand their transformations, their stories. They know better their why of why they started a business. And so these things can't be replicated the same unless it comes from them. And so I've had the agency for maybe 6 months, and then I closed it down and I started moving towards coaching. So I've built my coaching program, which I still have it up and running today. It moved from a group program to a one-to-one type of support. So now I work one-to-one with founders, with entrepreneurs, with coaches and consultants, and I help them build their online presence. They all see great results by having more opportunities, by being seen by the right people in the right way, getting the right attention, which translates in more business opportunities, more clients, and a rapid growth and more trust for what they do and who they are.
Yeah. And that's what is on Simply Branding, right?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Yeah, nice. Well done. And if you don't mind, just to come back to the AI discussion that we had, if you can tell us just the tools that you use or that are your favorite.
So I now mostly use FlowOS, which is what I'm building with my co-founder, because again, I find it the most complete system that is not just helping you with the research or with an idea, but it helps you with the very first step until the very last step of you posting. So that's the primary tool I'm using. And I'm still using ChatGPT and Claude sometimes for ideation. The only thing is that FlowOS learns who you are, and it's kind of like a second brain for you, especially tailored to the ideas that you're saving. And so that helps me much more because the tone of voice, the style, and everything is tailored to me, and it does that for every user.
That sounds smart. You sold it to us.
Great.
And mission accomplished. And are you someone who's actually interested in the topic of AI in general, or not really?
I mean, I'm not an expert in AI. I'm never going to claim that. I think it's a very new technology, and just like everything new that holds a lot of power, with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility, right? And I believe that, it's really important to understand how to use it in your benefit and how to make the most of it, rather than be something that you choose to deny, ignore, or be afraid of. And so it's definitely a topic I'm interested in because it's linked to all the industries nowadays, right? It's something that facilitates every single industry out there, every single career, and something that I personally believe everyone should look into and use it to facilitate their work. However, not an expert in it, and I don't know all the in and outs, but that's why it's great to collaborate and to partner and to connect with people that know it better, understand it better. And so, yeah, I'm always looking to learn more about it.
I feel like I share pretty much the same view. Kind of interested in it, but I know there is so much stuff. So I follow the right people on LinkedIn who educate me and help me to keep up to date.
Yes.
And we've been discussing LinkedIn, but what about other social media platforms? Do you use any other, or have you got any plans for the future?
I don't. I'm only on LinkedIn at the moment. I'm planning to get started with YouTube at some point this year, but my main focus is it's on LinkedIn, and it's the platform I enjoy the most, the platform I feel, the most comfortable with. As I said, I'm more a writing person, not so much a camera person, and then, I feel it's the best platform to show up in the business world, in entrepreneurial world, but at the same time it's a platform where there is not so much noise like TikTok or Instagram, where everyone is there and there is no sole goal. However, people on LinkedIn, they are on LinkedIn either to do business or talk business, or to learn from other people in the industry. And I just prefer this from the standpoint of what's the goal of the platform.
Yeah. But I would maybe then assume that you would be using any newsletters, unless I did the wrong research and haven't noticed that you've got one. But for example, Substack, isn't it something that you're interested in since you like writing?
Newsletters, yeah. So I do have an email list that I haven't yet started a newsletter with. However, it's something I'm still working on, and it's gonna be released very soon. But yeah, a newsletter is also something that I want to start. I haven't considered it another channel, essentially, because I was thinking more social media. But you're right.
And do you know what newsletter platform you're going to use?
Yeah, Beehive.
hmm And out of curiosity, why have you chosen this one? Because that's something that I've been also thinking about before, so I'm just curious to hear your opinion or decision in the end.
Well, just like I was telling you earlier, I'm not a techie person, and the simplest platform and effective that is, I'm gonna be happy to go with minimal effort on the tech and design part. I don't really care much about that. What I care about is the value that the reader gets, and for me, the less clicks and less technicality to it, the better.
No, it makes complete sense. And on LinkedIn, it probably changes once we release this episode, but now, as of the recording, you're pretty close to hitting beautiful milestone when it comes to the followers. So when it happens, are you going to celebrate, or what, have you got any plans once you reach it? Because obviously it's a big achievement.
You're right, and it's so easy to overlook these things. Like, I've never celebrated my milestones in the past, and I always promise myself that I'm gonna be better at this, and celebrate small wins, big wins, and everything, because at the end of the day, I've come a long way, and sometimes lose track of the journey I've been on, and I'm only focusing on what's yet to come. But if I can send this message to everyone out there, it's so important to stop and celebrate yourself, celebrate your goals that you have achieved, and doesn't matter how small it is. The fact that you've had a breakthrough this week, this month, this year, make sure you take the time to give yourself the credit you deserve. So to answer your question, I don't know how I'm going to celebrate that. I'm definitely grateful for every single person that is there every day and is reading my content and is in my community, and I value them all dearly. When I reached 40K, my partner actually took me out for dinner in this really bougie
Hmm.
place, and it kind of reminded me that I should celebrate this more. So now, with your question, you remind me that again. So
it
yeah, I'll
it
I'll
should
take
be
a moment
something.
to be grateful.
Yeah, and it should be obviously something bigger because it's a higher number, and then the stakes will be increasing. So once you reach 100K, it must be something really big. So good luck to your partner.
Well, thank you. Well, he already set the bar high because it was a Michelin star restaurant, but
Oh, okay,
uh,
okay, yeah,
to like to tell you more why actually I don't tend to celebrate this is because I'm not so stuck on the numbers, right? As I said,
yeah.
I'm grateful for every single person that is there every day and is is helping me be in front of more people and deliver more value to more people. But at the end of the day, numbers are just numbers. I'm not stuck on that. It's more having the right attention from the right people rather than just, hitting 100K or 200K in a
Yeah.
time,
No,
record.
I totally understand. And I like the message to celebrate smaller rewards because I think also it's important and something that I think I don't do much either. So it's a good reminder for me as well, actually.
Yeah, good. You should do that as well. And like a win, it doesn't mean like hitting 50K or, signing 10 clients this month. A win can also be saying no to a client that you feel is not the right fit, or
Mhm.
to, take some time for yourself to recharge, or these wins can look at something different, something different for everyone else. And as I said, it's so easy to forget about this and just focus on the things that we don't have or things that we should be better at. But if we stop and look, there's so much we have, so much we've reached. And I'm sure that applies to every single person in the world. It's just a matter of perspective and seeing these things, or, wanting to see them.
Yeah, I agree. It can be like, for example, even putting out your very first video, because obviously that is something that people are uncomfortable with. But when you overcome it, it's definitely worth celebrating and, makes it easier next time.
Exactly, yeah.
And we discussed obviously your plans with your project, but have you got any other like plans, goals, or ambitions when it comes to LinkedIn? Something that we haven't discussed.
Yeah, so my plan with it is to launch a community as well. This is something I've been working on the background to, and still keep my one-to-one clients still being open for one-to-one consultancy, because I do enjoy working with people this way. But I also like the fun of jumping call with hundreds of people at the same time. So I feel like I'd like to still keep both. And I'm going to be launching a community soon. It's coming with my newsletter, so more news and communication on that will be there, but it's definitely going to be this year, in the next few months.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a lot of exciting things. Yeah, we'll be following and looking forward to it. And then we obviously discussed LinkedIn a lot and social media and stuff. But what about when it comes to your free time? Of course, we discussed traveling, but what is it that you enjoy doing in your free time? What are your hobbies or what you like to do?
What free time? I'm joking. No, of course, it's important to create that time. Like the thing is, like I always hear people saying, "I don't have enough time." Look, we all have 24 hours, right? It's about what do you prioritize in your time, right? And I used to make this mistake, especially when I started my business. Not taking any time off, working 24/7 all the time, and I saw how that is not sustainable, and you need space to create, especially in a creative industry, when you're a content creator, or when you work with anything that requires inspiration. It cannot come from frustration. And so what I enjoy doing in my free time, I'm quite a social person. I love to spend time with friends, but I also love solo time. So I'm quite outdoorsy. I like going for a run. I enjoy yoga, Pilates, or the girly sports. I love hiking. Being here in Barcelona, it's a lot of nature around. I
Mhm.
like to be outside and enjoy the sun, enjoy the views. So yeah, these are the main things I do in my free time, and they help me a lot with getting the inspiration for my work and for creation.
Yeah, I totally agree. For me, also like sports or switching off from work or like LinkedIn stuff and that and doing some physical activities, it really helps to recharge, be more creative, and just come back kind of recovered. So I agree, and I think those are great points.
Yeah, we're made to move. Like, look at our ancestors, right? Hunter gatherers. They were not in front of a computer the whole day. They were running, walking, right? And this is what still helps us to recalibrate our mind, and as I said, to come back with more power. And I feel every single time I go for a walk, even if it's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I listen to a podcast, or I'm just with my ideas, and there's so many ideas that come up, and that's actually how I create content and the inspiration for what I do. If I don't do that, I just feel like I'm stuck.
Yeah, me too. And maybe one thing that I'm jealous of is that weather. You mentioned you like the nature around Barcelona. It's unfortunately not like that in Magda.
I feel you.
And then, then before we finish, do you read any books? And if so, have you got any recommendations or any books that were impactful to you and you would recommend?
Yeah, for sure. I actually don't read books. I listen to books, and I find it much more effective for me personally. Oof, there's so many books. I think the latest one I've read, I'm actually still reading now, and I can recommend it, is called 10x It's Easier Than 2x. Can't remember the author, but this is the book. Another really good book that I've read is called Pitch Anything. It's a very short book about sales. I really recommend Dan Coe's book as well. I believe it's called Focus, and it's the only book he released. So if you look for it, it's going to come up. And obviously, this is not a book I've read now. It's a book I've read a few times, and I know everyone talks about it, but it's a really, really good book and really powerful. And that's Robert Cialdini, The Psychology of Persuasion. I'd recommend that to any writer, anyone that writes content online or wants to understand persuasion and communication.
Some great tips. I'm not going to lie, I think I haven't read any of those first three, so definitely check it out. And I think I read the last one, but I probably forgotten, so I need to check that one as well. So great
Need to
tips.
refresh, yeah.
Then, before we finish, can you summarize any places where people can find you, follow you, or promote any of your services, like what we discussed?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn mostly. Find me in the DMs. Find me mostly in there. I'm the most active. I'm not on any other social platform really. So LinkedIn is the place I live on. You can find me there.
I like when it's
And
simple.
yes, exactly. One platform. And in there you can also find my website for Simply Branding. You can understand more about it. You can book a call. I'm in the DMs, very easy to reach. I'm always reading them. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Mm-hmm. And then the last question, is there something that I should have asked you and did not? Or any final message that you would like to share?
Any message I like to share?
Mm-hmm. Or any piece of wisdom or something, anything.
Piece of wisdom, all right. I think this is more a message for anyone that's looking to create content, or it's hesitating to do it, or they're just starting out and maybe they're not seeing the results. Remember, it takes time, and the sooner you start, the more advantage you have. LinkedIn is still a platform that it's not so crowded, and it can offer you a great return on your time. But remember that, as I said, it's just like planting a seed and having the patience for that tree to grow. You can't skip it, skip the process. You cannot push it, and it all comes and it finishes with you. So you are the most important person in this journey. I'm trying to outsource this journey to someone else or an AI tool. It will never be as great as you can be at doing it. So if you're looking to start, just do it. There's no better time than now. You know what they say, the best time to start was yesterday. And if I look at my journey, one thing that I wish I would have done was to start earlier.
Yeah, I think that's what we all think, and I totally agree with what you said. I think that's perfect message to finish with. Then I want to say a big thank you, Bea. I really enjoyed it. I only encourage people to follow you. We'll be excited about any stuff that you mentioned that is coming. Wish you good luck, and thank you very much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, this was really fun and lovely to speak to you, and I really enjoyed the questions as well.
Thanks for listening to Produced by with Nomad. Check out show notes for all the links, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your feedback. Speak soon.